In this tutorial, we'll start to implement our game functionality within the content view, but really the functionality should be within an MVVM structure, but maybe we'll do that another time in a different tutorial. But for now, all the game functionality will be in the content view. Open up your content view, and then we have to add a few at-state variables. Which includes the following: at state, private var, player position equals CG point X UI screen main bounds divided by 2 Y UI screen dot main dot bounds dot height minus 100. The purpose of that line is to enable the player's spaceship to start in the middle of the screen. I think there's a spelling mistake somewhere. Main dot bounds dot width. We also need another variable, at state variable, at state private var bullets equals bullets for an array of bullets, the object array of bullets, at state private var invaders, which are the enemy spaceships, invaders, invader object array, at state private var invader direction, CG float equals 1.0, at state private var players lives 3, at state private var game over equals false, at state private var timer at state private var invader bullet timer at state private var can shoot equals true, at state private var score equals 0, at state private var, no, that should be constant, let player speed CG floats equals 10, let invader speed CG floats equals 5. So the next thing we will do now is to start implementing some of the functions. So the first function we will implement is called start game. We implement that after line 34. Func start game invaders equals we need a function called create invaders. I'll just comment that out for now because we haven't created that function as yet. Players lives equals 3. Game over equals false. Timer equals timer dot schedule timer. So for the time interval, that should be 0.1. And then we just need repeats, true. And then within our closure, I think there's an error somewhere, schedule timer. Oh, that should be with time interval. And then we have to create a few methods here, which is update bullets, update invaders, check collision, check game over. So what this line does on lines 41 to 47, it will execute all of these functions within a loop repeatedly. That's why we put the value true with the repeat. So it's repeating it all the time. So I just remove the comments from that line. And then we need another timer event after line 48. And the purpose of this timer event is to enable the invaders to shoot bullets. Invaders, invader bullet timer equals timer schedule. Similar to this one, so I'll just copy and paste it. Just paste it there. then we have to call the method invader shoot bullet. So with the invaders, this will be done continuously in the loop, so that, within the timer event, so that the invaders are shooting their bullets every 0.1 seconds, which is there. So the next functionality we need to start on, although we need to implement these later, the next one we need to start on is called create invaders. The create invaders functionality will create the actual enemies that will be shooting back at the player's spaceship. Function create invaders, which will return an array of invader objects var invaders equals invader, that creates a new instance of the invader object as an object array. Let rows equals 5. Let column equals 5. Rows equals 3 and columns equals 5. And what that does, it defines the number of rows and columns for the invaders. The next thing we need to do is to define the spacing between invaders. Let spacing CG float equals 60 pixels. And then the next thing we need to do is to loop through each row and column to create the invaders. For column in 0 dot dot column, there's some columns. Let x equals spacing times by CG float column plus spacing divided by 2. Let y equals spacing times by CG float row plus 100. And what that does, it calculates the x and y position of each of the invaders. And then, having the position, we need to pass the x and y elements of the invader's position onto an array. So this is what we need to do now. Invaders dot append invader create a unique ID. The position is CG point x and y. We just pass x and then y. And then for the image name, it will be called invader.image invader.image name. And for the actual invader.image name, which is this one, I'll be using this image, which is on my desktop. This one here. I'll just pass that to my assets folder. And then rename it. So these type of images, you can download them from Google. Then the next thing we need to do is after line 72, just return our array of invaders. So now what I'm going to do, I will comment out these functions that don't exist at the moment. And now I'm just going to compile it just to make sure everything is okay. So there should be space on lines 50 after equals timer. I'll just compile it again. It's compiling. It's compiled. So the next function we need to create is called, I don't know if we should call it player shoots bullets, or yeah, we'll just call it shoot bullets. So we'll create that function after lines 75. Func shoot bullet let bullet start equals, and it should be start equals CG point XY. For X, we supply the player's position dot X, and for Y, we supply the player's position dot Y minus 30. And what that does, it will calculate the starting position of the player's bullet. That will be about 30 pixels above the tip. of the spaceship so that we can see the bullets coming out of the spaceship, of the player spaceship. Let bullet end equals CG point X player position dot X Y equals 0. And what that does, it defines the end position of the bullet just above the top of the screen. Let angle equals at tan 2 bullet end dot Y minus bullet end dot Y bullet end dot X minus bullet start dot X. Bullet end dot X minus bullet start. Yeah, this one's incorrect. It should be bullet starts dot Y bullet end dot Y minus bullet start dot Y bullet end dot X minus bullet start dot X. And what that does, it calculates the angle between the start and end position to determine the bullet position as it's triangulating on the screen, moving across the screen. And then the next thing we need to do is to calculate the velocity of the bullets. Let bullet velocity x equals cos angle times by 10. Let bullet velocity y equals sin angle times by 10. And then the next thing we need to do is to create a new bullet instance. And then we have to add that bullet to our bullets array. So just type in bullets dot append bullet UUID position bullet start velocity CG vector we need a CG vector that has the overloaded dx and dy, which is the second one here. And then for the dx, we need to pass in the bullet velocity x, so that's bullet velocity x. And for the dy, we need to pass in the bullet velocity y. Is play a bullet? True. I'll just compile it just to make sure it's all okay. In next week's tutorial, we will add the Invaders shoot bullet functionality and the check collision functionality. Thank you for joining us. If you found this tutorial helpful, please comment, like and subscribe. See you next week.